Rose Blanchard posted this after she unalived her mom. In fact, this is what tipped off the community to call the police to look for Gypsy and her mom. Gypsy has admitted to posting this. This was her. I want you guys to see what she said to the detective when he was interrogating her.
Your mom's dead, okay? Now, what I want to ask you is, your mom's passed away, okay? She's deceased, all right? Now, what I want to ask you, did you have involvement in this? Okay. Just, hang on, listen to me for just a second, okay? I want you to understand something, okay? Remember the snowball that we talked about? You remember the pencil that we talked about? I'm gonna demonstrate something with the pencil here, okay? Look at me. Look at me for just a second, okay? Sometimes people are going along, you know how you have a pencil. So Gypsy Rose Blanchard claimed she had nothing to do with it. But she actually stole the unaliving weapon from Walmart. She stole the gloves that she wanted him to use from Walmart. But then she told him, don't bother worrying about the gloves. And if you look at the text messages between Gypsy and Nicholas Courtois, that means he had 4 minutes to do what he did, allegedly, in there. Gypsy had more to do with it than she leads to believe. Now keep in mind, this man was collecting a permanent disability check. He has a low IQ, autism, and other mental health issues. He is serving life without the possibility of parole, and Gypsy got out of prison after 8 years. And after she came out of prison, this is what she did.
Bring me down. I'm on a high right now. I'm living my best life, and y'all can't take that from me.
And the D is
fire.
After you only serve 8 years in prison for having your mother unalived, or you unaliving your mom rather, you come out of prison while you left the man that you used with a low IQ, other mental health issues, collecting a permanent disability check and autism, and come out and say you're living your best life, and then say you never had anything wrong with you, but then admit that you had a chromosome disorder and your mom didn't find that out until 2011 when you were diagnosed, or 2012. And y'all still believe that this lady is a victim? We have to be so for real. But anyway, Gypsy, this is day 2. I'm calling you out every day since you want to play with my page. Not to mention, she also said she does not identify as somebody that unalives anyone. Let's watch that.
I don't associate myself as a murderer because if you think about it, yes, I had a part to play in it. I asked Nick for help. And how that conversation started was, you know, he was saying that he would protect me from anyone. I said anyone. He said yes. I said even my mother. He said yes. And then the plan kind of formed from there. But he's the one that did the actual kill, not me. I can't kill anyone. That's why he's in trouble to begin with, because he's the one that did it. So when they say I'm a murderer, I don't identify as that.
Now, let's also mention that she pled guilty to second-degree unaliving. But if you think that's crazy, this is an interview that she did shortly after she came out of prison. On the same night that she did that video, You Can't Hold Me Down.
For the next 10 years of my life, I really hope to accomplish, personal-wise, a family with my husband, and also just, really diving deep into my advocacy work and doing some good for the world. I want to bring a voice to the voiceless. That's why I do this. That's why I share my story, because it's really important to bring an awareness to, mental health issues and Munchausen by proxy syndrome. So that's why I continue to share my story.
Now, ironically, she was on a live one day, and this is like a year ago. And while she was on that live, this happened, and I want you guys to pay a lot of attention because this is where it gets sinister.
Yeah, he's gonna come visit me tomorrow. He comes in.
Look how nervous she is. Gypsy, was David Blanchard there to help your mom's body to your bedroom on the wheelchair? On your wheelchair?
He comes in.
This girl is not as innocent as y'all think.
So Brenay has been found liable. She now owes Akira $1.5 million for stealing another woman's husband. The verdict is in, and after days of testimony, tears, and chaos, the jury didn't hesitate. Akira just won one of the wildest courtroom battles the internet's ever followed. $250,000 for alienation of affection, plus over $1 million for emotional and financial damage. For months, Brenay bragged online about taking Akira's man, mocking her as jealous and bitter. But today, that arrogance came with a price tag. Akira stood in court, surrounded by supporters, breaking down when the verdict was read. After being humiliated online, she finally walked away with justice and the proof that she wasn't crazy. She was right. Social media is calling it karma in real time. Brenay went from the other woman to the woman who owes $1.5 million. And now, fans are asking the same thing. What happens to Tim? With no money and no clout left, insiders say he's next in line for legal trouble. For Akira, this isn't just a win. It's a message. You can't destroy someone's marriage, gloat about it, and think you'll walk away untouched. She lost her husband, but Brenay just lost everything else.
Y'all will not believe this. Diddy's release date was just extended, but not for the reason that a lot of people think. Everybody thinks it's that three-way call. No, baby. Let's clear this up before the whole narrative spins out of control. This new June 2028 date that you're seeing on the Bureau of Prisons website, that is for the moonshine he made last week, the Phantom Moonshine. Okay? That's not punishment for that three-way call violation. That hasn't even hit his record yet as far as being penalized. So when somebody first enters federal custody, their first release date is basically a placeholder. So it's an early estimate based on like sentencing and the projection of like good time credits. It almost always changes once, everything kind of finishes up and they process the inmate's paperwork. Now, it jumped from May 2028 to June 2028, and that lines up with one thing only, the alcohol incident, okay? TMZ already confirmed Diddy was caught making homemade moonshine, right, inside of Fort Dix. And that's a moderate level violation, right? Now, moderate level violations usually lead to small loss of good time, which is exactly what this is. 1 month shift, like a couple of days here, right? In federal prison, phone misuse is a serious communication violation, and they cannot penalize that right away. They have to pull the call logs, verify the third party, compare the timestamps, write the disciplinary report, and get it approved through the unit discipline committee, okay? That process takes weeks, even months. So no, he hasn't been penalized for that yet. When the three-way call violation finally gets processed, you'll see another release date, and that one will be much bigger because a communication violation often costs like 30 to 90 days of good time, sometimes even more. So if his date suddenly jumps from summer to like late fall, that's the phone finally hitting. So yes, Diddy's release date was just extended, but this is just a small extension. The real adjustment is still coming, and baby, follow me for the updates because I have a feeling this is going to get wild, and I'm bringing all the receipts, child. We are literally watching Days of Our Lives play out in real life, government edition. This stuff happening right now is crazy because so many things are being exposed besides just the governments. School districts, like so much is being exposed, and we really need to stop and ask ourselves why. Because in order to fix everything, you have to lay all your cards out on the table, right? Like accountability. I don't know everything, but whoever you believe upstairs, or whatever higher being you believe in, something is happening, and it is a very spiritual thing that's happening because the timing is insane. But I don't know, y'all, this is crazy. What do y'all think? Because I'm just literally sitting here clutching my pearls, because it also shows that the US government all this time knew this. Some of these emails are old enough to be victims. Let that sit with you. Hold the hell up. So you mean to tell me that Brenay represented herself in court? She didn't have an attorney, and she was being sued for $2.5 million, but ended up having to pay $1.75 million? And she represented herself? Ma'am, you cheated on your husband. You took your friend's husband. You did actual things with that man while they were together. And you represented yourself? You was a man without a plan. Baby, I didn't know she represented herself. Homegirl represented herself? That is diabolical. No wonder why you have to cash out. Y'all, go watch all her stuff until she make that 1.7 mil to give to Akira, because she deserved every dime of that. I'm starting to think that, I'm not even starting to think, I think that Brenay is special. And I'm not even trying to be funny. I'm like OD, like saying like she for real seemed like she's off.
JonBenét Ramsey's grandfather may have had connections to North Fox Island, a private island that later became the subject of a conspiracy theory rumored to be linked to a child trafficking ring. Except it wasn't just a rumor. The horrors people spoke of happening on this desolate island, which was supposed to be a nature camp for young boys, turned out to be completely true. I covered the story behind the island in part 1, so if you haven't seen that yet, be sure to go watch it because it's absolutely crazy and you will otherwise be completely lost. But this is the part 2 video, and if you enjoy content like this, make sure to follow. While the conspiracy surrounding North Fox Island turned out to be true, one rumor that can't be confirmed is whether or not JonBenét Ramsey's family had any involvement in the island's operations. Even though we can't confirm it, I'm gonna tell you what we do know for a fact, and you can decide how the pieces fit together for yourself. The Ramsey family was known to have a vacation home in Charlevoix, Michigan, which is just a stone's throw away from North Fox Island. JonBenét's paternal grandfather, Jay Ramsey, was also involved in aviation, specifically with the Michigan Aeronautics Commission during the 1970s. That's the same decade when North Fox Island was being used as a front for a child trafficking ring operating under the guise of a non-profit organization. If you don't remember or haven't watched part 1, the very first thing Frank Sheldon did after purchasing the island was built an airstrip so small planes could land and shuttle boys in and out. So it was during this same period of time that Jay Ramsey served as the director of the Michigan Aeronautics Commission, meaning that he was responsible for licensing and overseeing airstrips built throughout the state. He held that position for 22 years, and during that time, the number of licensed airports in Michigan grew from 130 to 322. Now, this doesn't prove any connection between him and North Fox Island, but it does suggest that the project most likely would have crossed his desk, and that he was most likely the one that had to have approved Sheldon's airstrip on the island. We also know that Sheldon was a well-known figure in Charlevoix, the same area where the Ramsey family owned property. The story of North Fox Island broke in 1977, and Jay Ramsey retired just 2 years later in 1979. Those are the facts. Whether or not they point to JonBenét's family being involved with North Fox Island is purely speculative, and I'd love to hear your thoughts about it in the comments, but what we do have more evidence for is that the island's operations have been linked to the Oakland County child killer, an unidentified serial killer who targeted children in the suburban areas just north of Detroit. I can dive deeper into that connection in part 3, or you can go check out my 2-part podcast episode on this topic by searching Oddities on Elm Street wherever you get your podcasts.